What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening World. And what a perfect show we have tonight, because, of course, we're all about the awakening world, and we're going to learn about beloved Mother Gaia from one very beautiful woman's perspective. And, of course, I'm talking about Raquel Spring. She is our very special guest. You've seen her on the show before because she's a brilliant astrologer. But tonight, we're going to learn all about Raquel's relationship to Mother Earth, Gaia. And I love thinking of our planet as a living being. It clearly is. And so we're going to learn all about that tonight. So welcome, Raquel. I'm so glad you're with us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, especially today in such a beautiful astrological time. It's the Libra full moon. Libra is a sign that is ruled by Venus. So I feel like it's just such a beautiful time to have this conversation tonight.
I'm excited. And as you know, we always start our shows with music, and our beloved brother Omashar is with us. Hello, Omashar. You're muted. You're muted.
I am. Aloha and namaste, everybody. And I arrived back here last night, quite late from Los Angeles. And I've reassembled myself into a semblance of a musician to play a song which is called Contemplate. And so let's get jiggy with it. And I look forward so much to tonight's show. Thank you.
Turning to the face of those who need the light of truth, to help them turn the other cheek and turn around. Lift each other up into the highest point of view, so that together we can move to higher ground. Contemplating everything I knew, seems as though there's not much left that I would hold on to. Contemplating what is pure and true. Sun and moon and stars and light and earth and water too. We are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, growing, loving all we see. Glad to know we're coming home again. Open hearts and open minds and open doors and loving friends. Look at the one who's standing by you now. Destiny is in our hands, so leave the density behind as we are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we turning to the face of those who need the light of truth to help them turn the other cheek and turn around. We lift each other up into the highest point of view so that together we can move to higher ground. Contemplating everything I knew, so there's not much left that I would hold on to. Contemplating what is pure and true. Sun and moon and stars and light and earth and water too. We are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we see. One more time. Turning to the face of those who need the light of truth to help them turn the other cheek and turn around. We lift each other up into the highest point of view so that together we can move to higher ground. Contemplating everything I knew, seems as though there's not much left that I would hold on to.
So it's so amazing to be back online with you because just yesterday. That was yesterday, bro.
I couldn't believe it.
In Los Angeles.
I remember saying yesterday, I'll see you Wednesday, thinking it was like about a year away. And then, so I was hugging this man and all of our global peace tribe that were there just yesterday. Yeah.
And Darina writes that, oh, here we go. Thank you for sharing as much as you did with us, Scott and Amashar from the LA retreat. It was a joy to see you all together, hugging, singing, dancing. Hopefully we will get to experience such presence, closeness, and in person next time. Absolutely. And, again, for those of you who were at the retreat, thank you for being back with us today. And for those of you who weren't, we were thinking of you and loving you and look forward to when we can create it, where we'll all be together. In fact, here comes Sage, who just came in. So, Omashar,
yes,
you've got Raquel tonight.
I know. We are so privileged, I think. Yes.
Every time I hear her speak, she is got such an eloquence. And I have not heard her talk about this topic. I mean, we spent some time together in Sedona, and she mentioned it. And I said, let's do an entire show on it. So welcome back to the Awakening World, Raquel.
Thank you, Scott and community. It's a joy to be back.
I think we should just get right in. Just want to remind everybody that we are going to take questions. Oh, you know what? I forgot to let people know about joining the Global Peace Tribe. Because we are out over a lot of Facebook groups and pages right now. And if you are watching us on Facebook, that's great. Thank you. Or maybe you're watching us on Alan Steinfeld's YouTube channel or on the Conscious Awakening Network. But however you're watching, come on into the Zoom room. And it's really easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com. And then you'll learn all about us. That's our website. And then click what says register for the new season. This is the first show of the new season. And the first Wednesday night show, I should say. We do 3 or 4 shows every week with amazing hosts and presenters and musical artists like the people you're seeing on that poster there. And there's tonight's show, The Embodiment of Gaia with Raquel Spring. Then this weekend, we've got an amazing show on Saturday night. We're celebrating and previewing the New Living Expo, and all the leading presenters from the expo are going to be with us, including John Gray, the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Great guy. He's been on the show before and he's always fun. We have a lot of remarkable people on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we'll be celebrating Easter Sunday, and we will be celebrating it with Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. Yep, they're going to be talking to us through the channeling of Renee and Anthony. We also have Christy Michaels and always Omar Shar and Jan Jorgensen, a new guest. So that's this week's shows. Want to encourage everybody, if you haven't registered, please do register so you can join our shows. Let's start, Raquel. Just what's your definition of Gaia? How would you, to somebody who's not familiar with that term from Mother Earth, how would you define Gaia?
Oh my goodness, I think that's what the show's about. You know, it is, to me, always changing and evolving. I started off this journey, you know, really looking at Gaia as our mother planet, and of course, this beautiful source of nourishment and support to us here. But over the years, my experience with her shifted radically. And this is what I'm here to share about today. So
take it away. We want to hear your story.
Yes, and just to give a little background here, you know, Scott and I we're still getting to know each other. There's so much to learn about, but we kind of get to know each other in bits and pieces when he comes to Sedona, and we share a little more about ourselves and our journey. And I mentioned briefly, I have a lot of different twists and turns in my journey and lots of stories to share. And the last time we were talking, we just happened to talk about my experience with Gaia and how that is so closely reflected in my journey today. Mm-hmm. And he was immediately he said, Raquel, let's do a show on this. Please, can you talk about this? So I didn't even get into too many details with him, and he wanted me to save it for the show. And so this is a beautiful time where I'm opening up and sharing more of myself and my journey, and also inviting everybody that's here listening to experience a heart opening, experience the heart that is opening in your own way. This message is going to come through in different ways depending on who's listening to this. And this is nothing more, nothing less than my own story, my personal journey that I'm choosing to open up and talk about now. But it's also planting a seed. It's also helping awaken something deeper within you and your relationship with Gaia. So that's all I'm here for, to be that bridge between your next stage and your journey with Gaia. So just allow yourselves to get comfortable and relaxed. I myself am recovering from a cough and a little bit of a congestion. So I have some tea here. And if I told Scott, if I do start coughing, please forgive me, you'll understand. But I am so happy. I didn't want to cancel this. It's going to be a special time. And it's the Libra full moon. So what better time to talk about the goddess, right? Than on this full moon that belongs to the Queen Venus, Libra. So, and also, I mean, we just entered spring, you know. We just gave birth to a new solar cycle. So what a wonderful time to talk about Gaia. This is the time where she is so ready to become alive in so many ways. And now here in this talk with us and through us. So in honor of this beautiful crossing of the spring equinox, we open up to receive the love and the transmissions from our dear beloved Gaia through the story, my personal journey of awakening with Gaia. And for those of you that don't know, I am a 4th generation astrologer. I have a lot more to my story. I've done bits and pieces with Scott of my journey here and there. The last one we did was about the path of freedom, because I was born and raised in a cult, and I left at the age of 27, and I had a big awakening into the path of freedom, which is also what it's part of my journey today. And I'm an astrologer on the side. I'm an astrologer. And so I have a very beautiful relationship with the planets as living archetypes, living conscious beings, just like Gaia. And so my relationship with them and my connection with them is very deep, just as my connection with Gaia is. It's just that there is something very beautiful that I realized, that at the end of the day, out of all the cosmic bodies, I chose to be here. And so there must have been a very important reason why. And so I started listening a little deeper, saying, Gaia, okay, all right. I don't know all the details yet, but at the end of the day, I know it's all about you, and so my story with Gaia really had stages of development. And, for most of my life, like I said in the beginning, was just brought up and raised looking at her as our mother planet, like most people. But in 2013, so I spoke about this part of my journey in the last interview with you, Scott, when we talked about the path of freedom. And my path of freedom began when I found out I had cancer in 2013. And I must have briefly mentioned this, but I didn't get into details because it's a whole other journey that we're going to take partly tonight, but I'm not going to share all of it because it's a lot. But what happened is that at that moment in 2013, when I found out that I had cancer, I had a big heart opening. And it was a very powerful spiritual, physical, emotional, on all levels experience. And so that heart opening, a lot of things started to happen, and I shared some of it in the last interview. But one of the things that happened is that this energy started to come through into my experience. And this energy presented to me at the time as the divine feminine. And it was very puzzling to me because this was in 2013 in Brazil. The term was barely even out here in this country. Like I had never heard that before. So it really was a collective consciousness energy form that was coming into the planet. And it came through originally through Gaia, expressing itself as the divine feminine. And that's what I understood at that time. So I had a series of very profound experiences that began my awakening with Gaia back then in 2013. And we can talk about any of these at any time if we want to do a second part, or if there are questions now. I'm really going with the flow here. But there is an apex here that I want to really focus on as well about my awakening with Gaia. And so I'm building up and leading up to this. But so 2013 was a big heart opening where I, without realizing, I invited these energies in through the heart. And they would come at the time when I had this very beautiful sun gazing routine I tried to do it twice a day, every morning, every evening, but when I couldn't, then every evening. And so in every evening I would go and I would sun gaze. And at the time, the sun was communicating to me in very powerful ways. My journey with the sun, by the way, Scott, is a whole other story. So we can save that for another show too, because my journey with the sun was the first one. And I was awakened by the sun when I was 15 years old. And it was a really powerful experience that progressed over the years in a very physical and tangible way. And so in 2013, when I started to sun gaze and call these energies in, because at that time I was in a totally different stage of my life and my journey. And I would do it in nature. And at that time, something, this shock would happen in my body. And I would feel the sun, but all of a sudden it wasn't just the sun, because I was very used to feeling the sun for many years. But in 2013, a different energy came through as well in this energy shock that I would experience in my body. And it was coming from Gaia. And I had no idea what that meant or why it was happening. And so it's such beautiful art, Darina. Wow, yes, Darina sharing a beautiful art of Mother Gaia. And anybody that has any art that is easy to share is very welcome to share that too.
I'm putting it up since you brought it up.
Yeah.
And this is from Darina in Ecuador, who creates this beautiful, beautiful artwork and provides so much. So
Wow.
yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah, that's really, really beautiful. Really beautiful. So yeah, the divine feminine was how she first came through. Oh, I'm the divine feminine. I had no idea. The next day I had to look up in the dictionary. I'm like, what is a divine feminine? And mind you, I had just recently left 27 years of being in a cult. So I wanted nothing to do with spirituality, religion, and so forth. And so anyway, when this divine feminine came to me, I'm like, I don't know, the word divine just sounds like it's not in my, I'm not open to spiritual things right now. So the feminine thing I could even deal with, but the divine, like, and I went through my own little crisis moment for about 1.5 years, I have to be honest. With this, because it kept getting stronger. And that's a whole other segment as well. And I can share other stories around that. But this happened very regularly until I finally reached an apex 1.5 years later, when I said enough, because the experiences were just getting stronger and more profound and more mind-boggling. And I said, you know what? I have just spent 27 years of my life in a cult. I just left and I found out I had cancer. Let me be. Like, go pick on anybody else on this planet. Let me be. All I'm asking is silence. Like, I just want to, whatever rest of my days I have left here, and these forces and these energies would come, and so much would happen around that. And so finally in 2014, I had it. And I said, that's enough. We're ending this right now. And so anyway, long story short, this is where I put this energy on the spot. And I said, if this is truly something that I'm meant to listen to, give me a sign. And I'm going to choose the sign. And I'm going to choose the hardest one that I can think of, because I am not messing around. I don't have time for this. And I don't want anything that is going to be remotely a distraction because of someone's agenda. Like, I'm done with that. I just want silence. So I said, my official request here is that if I'm meant to listen to this, my demand, and not request, is that my cells, my cancer cells, are removed completely.
Mm-hmm.
This is something the doctor said are impossible. So here we go. And that led to the profound healing that I shared. I believe I shared. Did I share that, Scott? In
Yes,
the Path of Freedom?
You did.
Where that catapulted me into a very profound experience, a deep level of heart opening, where I experienced love on such a deep, 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 deep level. And that love healed me. And I experienced the healing happening live inside my cells and my body, and it was amazing. And 2 weeks later, when I went to get the checkup, it was officially on the paper, it was gone. And I remember after that time just being like, oh, okay, all right, you win. I'm listening. I'm listening. I give up. I've stopped trying to fight and resist.
And, I'm going to come in for a second. I would imagine, too, that you had this incredible experience of going from a dogmatic approach to religion and spirituality
Oh my gosh.
into a very authentic, extremely personal and profound, true experience of spiritual connection.
Oh my God, Scott, what a loaded statement. I still feel like I am discovering what that means, because every time I feel like I've reached a certain level of understanding what spirituality is, that is shattered in front of my eyes. And I am humbled to see that I don't know anything. And so I definitely would say that it shifted my point of view. At the time, it was more confusing. I had no idea what was happening. I didn't really understand. I knew it was a spiritual experience, but I didn't understand the extent of what it was. We can't understand these things all at once because it can be too much for ourselves and too much for our other mechanisms to assimilate that.
Well, and
so it had to happen in a process. And I was still at a really strong process of mourning the old, it was many years of mourning what I had experienced as my truth in that cult. And then understanding myself as like, not, there is no spirituality, there is no God, there is no nothing. And then all of a sudden there is something and I have no idea what it is. But so it was definitely very confusing at the time for me, but I was so surrendered, and that is the best place to be. This is also where I had my heart opening when I found out I had cancer, is when you don't have a belief, when you don't have an idea, when you don't have an expectation, and you're just so surrendered. And at that moment, especially going through cancer, I was like, I have nothing to lose. I mean, my life has already been taken away from me from a certain perspective, and I've already had so much injustice and abuse and pain, and like, what's worse? I've already died so many times and I'm back and now I have cancer, and I'm like, what? Now what? I have nothing to lose. But in this, there's also a surrender that happens when we go through a catalyst moment, and that propels us into this just heart opening, like, okay, I trust that whatever guiding force has been guiding this life is here now. And there's a reason for all of this. And I am surrendered to that reason now. And when you surrender to that with integrity and purity, there is alchemy that happens, and magic happens, and spirit comes in. And so that's how spirit came in initially to me through Gaia. And so my journey with Gaia and spirit has just been evolving at a very rapid pace. It never ends. I think I told you this last time, Scott. I said, every time you see me, Scott, I'm going to be so different. Every time, I promise you. I guarantee. Yeah, I have Uranus on my natal ascendant. Uranus is on my natal ascendant. And so it's just always activations, and so much is always happening with me. Very, very rapid pace.
And that's a beautiful modeling. I worked very closely with Jane Fonda for 12 years, and she has a great quote, which is that we have to periodically change ourselves or we become a parody of ourselves. And so, it is, for all of us listening, it's inspirational and a reminder to keep growing, keep evolving, never to get stuck in, okay, this is who I am and this is the way it always is. Because that's not really, that's limiting life, limiting ourselves, limiting other people.
Death is the best experience you could welcome in your life.
Yeah.
Because every time that death is here, it's just a matter of moments before something is reborn. And today I see that I had to have a drastic life where I lived more than most people ever will. I've been through extreme situations all my life in survival mode, in a cult far away from the world, and just going through so much and facing death in so many ways, being left literally on the streets to survive. And today I realized that I needed these consecutive death moments where everything was taken away from me, literally all my physical things, people, everything was taken away from me so many times. But I chose to go through this so that I could have these quantum leaps on these new beginnings. And so every time was like, boom, I'm reborn. I'm in a new planet. I'm a new person. I'm in a new reality. So yes to what you said, Scott, welcoming these moments, because they are always catalysts for the next breakthrough if we are welcoming them in. So a lot happened after I surrendered and after I said, okay, you have my attention. All right, what's next? Because I'm not leading. What's next? I can be a little stubborn sometimes. I give them a hard time. I tell them. And so it wasn't, okay, so 2013, they first came in. And then 2015, I had a really powerful experience with the sun and Gaia together. And it was really, really a catalyzing moment of all those experiences for me since I had cancer. And it culminated and catalyzed in 2015. And this was right before I moved to the US. So when I moved here in 2016, everything was brand new. It was such a brand new stage of the path of freedom for me. And I was already in this very fast developing path of freedom, and in the sun and Gaia and the cosmos and astrology, and so much happening. And coming here to this country, something happened in my heart as well with Gaia and in relationship to Gaia, because the nature here was so different. Trees, the air, the quality of the air, the water, just everything was so different, so beautiful. I initially went to Maine. I was blessed to go to Maine and stay almost 3 years over there. So that's where I landed. That was my home. And nature in Maine is so, so, so beautiful. My God. So I was in my own way just having new heart openings with Gaia and whatever, this being was at that time. I still understood her in a very fragmented way. Let's put it that way. I knew that there was an energy, an extension. This is how I understood her at that time. Because when she came to me in 2013, she came to me as the divine feminine. And I would be sitting on the land, and when I would start sun gazing, these shocks, these waves would come in my body, and I could literally feel the electricity coming from the earth. And I would be sitting on the earth, and I could feel that coming together with the contact of the rays of the sun. And so this would create a state of alchemy in my body, where my body would start to move in certain ways and do certain things with the hands and certain movements that even I was worried about. I would look at myself and I'm like, what's happening? Oh my God, what am I doing? And so, now I'm just so comfortable with it. It's been so many years, but at the time I would just watch myself and my body and my hands and just different aspects of myself connect with this energy coming from the ground in this way. And I'm like, what's happening? I'm not crazy, I promise. And so eventually I understood this energy that would present itself as the divine feminine, as a very feminine energy, a strong feminine energy that was connected with Gaia. That was my experience, and that's how it evolved from 2013 to 2015. And in this, I had very strong connections with Gaia herself, where there was a lot of energy exchange, a lot. And in that energy exchange, there was a lot of information that was also exchanged, that was shared, that I was made aware of. It wasn't like words. It was not linear. It's just downloads, it's feelings in the body, it's waves, it's shocks, it's experiences, it's entire universes exploding with information in one blink of an eye. And so it's just very strong awakenings that happened with Gaia as a feminine archetype. And at that time, I would receive messages from Gaia that would say that there was a new divine feminine archetype that was being birthed. And I had no idea what that meant. I didn't even know what a divine feminine archetype meant. They didn't teach me those things in the cult. And when I left, I didn't bother looking for that information. And so I would get these messages from Gaia, and then I would get messages like that this thing with the hands, that this was an energy coming from Gaia, and this was a sign of light language or in language from Gaia, and that more and more other women were going to start to do this as well. And I would receive this back in 2013. And then I would receive things like, and you're going to be teaching other women as well about this energy and how to tap into it. And how do you, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even know what's going on here. And so it was a very powerful, almost every day, there was really powerful experiences. That's why at the end of 2014, I'm like, I'm done. I don't even know what's happening. Like, I deserve an explanation. And so my understanding of Gaia as the divine feminine to some extent and on some level was very defined. And I was really, at that time when I entered the US, I was understanding about our relationship with Gaia and this feminine archetype through our wombs. And I was learning about that as well. And very powerful experiences, very beautiful. So I was getting to know very deeply the divine feminine part of Gaia. And just learning things about, the mysteries of the blood, of the menstrual cycle, for example, the lunar cycles and how that relates to women and how we are or not connected with that today. And just different things that we can and should do and work together with the cycles and just different things that would just all of a sudden, boom, in half a second, I just knew. And it was just like a volume of a book. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm not even going to remember it tomorrow. And there's a lot of information like that was just getting imprinted and downloaded into me. And a lot of them would happen with experiences as well. So I would have physical experiences, physical responses to the environment. And it usually had to do with nature, with Gaia, and with these forces, these cosmic beings.
There's a question
That's
coming
a lot
in
of
from
energy right there. So yes, is there anything that you want to share or ask there, Scott?
Yeah, there's a question that's come in from Susan asking, is this channeling? So maybe if you could describe a little bit how you experience it and then what informs you that it's Gaia. Is it inspiration? Is it channeling? Do you hear a voice? Tell us more about the process.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I really honestly, I feel like we all have our own unique ways of tapping into these other dimensions. Let's just put it that way. Whether it be your angels, your guides, your higher self, aspects of Gaia herself, we all have different ways. And so there are going to be certain teachers that you resonate with or different methods that you resonate with more. And I will tell you that for me, even from the beginning, I didn't know what was happening. And I thought when I heard the divine feminine, and when I say here, it wasn't audible, it was inside my body. It was literally like I can hear, how do I put this into words? It's as if I have a thought with my entire body, a thought, boom, and that thought is audible inside my body. And it happens, boom, instantaneously. But it's not audible with the ear. This is an extra sensory perception that I personally have. I'm extremely feeling oriented. I didn't know that at the time. I had to learn this because I always thought that, following the guided meditations, most of them guide you through visual. And I'm not visual. I'm extremely feeling oriented. So I experience visual, hearing, I experience everything inside my body. And so for me, when I have my personal experiences, they will happen instantaneously, like in a flash. Usually the way it happens is that the entire experience comes in one moment, and then I will spend however long afterwards processing that. Sometimes I will have physical, sometimes I'll cry, my body will, I'm most of the times I'm not in my body, so I don't see myself, but there'll be very strong experiences. So the way that I receive is that it's very fast and instantaneous in the linear moment, most of them. But I've developed a relationship with it where I can stay with the experience for longer if I want and keep going. But when I get these downloads, these knowings or these messages, to me, it just comes boom, and it comes in a feeling. It almost comes in a forceful way, in a good forceful way, like nothing's going to get in the way. This is the truth. And it comes in from the depths of my being, like boom, in that moment. So that's how I receive the messages. The experiences, they will come without warning. Sometimes I'll call them in, but the real profound experiences, they'll come usually when when I'm in a very surrendered state. Physically as well, that includes when I'm sick. When your body has less resistance, you're able to go better with the experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another tip right there. Surrender. That's what meditation is good for. Sometimes it's beyond our choosing and we get sick and we have to stay still. But release of control, release of holding on to things, physically, emotionally, which is the hardest, and mentally as well. These are all secrets to receiving. And so the more that you are in that state, the easier it is to receive these moments.
Mm. Mm.
Does that help, Scott?
I think so. Certainly for myself.
Okay.
And,
Okay, beautiful.
and again,
So-
it's an opportunity for you to inspire others to trust their intuition, to trust the inner voices. So thank you for that.
Yes, like a near-death information downloads, Jeffrey. That's a really good way of putting it. That's a really good way of putting it. And there's different levels as well. There's different levels of the downloads, okay? There are some that can just kind of just whiff on by with your intuitive senses, and you're walking, you're strolling by, and you just pick something up. And that can be a download right there. And then there's others that really come through, and they don't just come through, they barge through. And it really is like this near-death information downloads where the body is very, like, for example, the evening that I had my healing, my cancer healing, I was coming out of a ritual that I found that for me personally is a really good way of putting myself in that state to receive. And you know what that is?
What's that?
The sauna, the steam room, heat. And I noticed that when I would go into a sauna or a steam room, and especially I went to a few, how do you call those sacred circles that they do with the hot sweat lodges?
NEPs.
Yes, that is intense. Wow, I've done a couple of those. Those were, yes, and very powerful. But that really helps this state of just like, oh, I gotta surrender. Like, I gotta surrender. There's nothing left for me to do but to surrender. So I bought myself, because I was clearing my body and cleansing myself and, dealing with cancer and everything. So I would do this 3 times a week, and I bought myself a little portable sauna, nothing fancy, but I bought myself a portable sauna I put in my bathroom so I could do it 3 times a week. And and every time I would go in the sun, I would just sit there, and I would notice my spirit just kind of like kind of hovering and like getting to that state. And I would have a lot of experiences like that too. And so when I had the healing of my cancer, it was when I was coming out from the sauna and I was facing myself in the mirror coming out of the bathroom. So anyway, there's things that you can do, but like meditation is also a beautiful one. But even when you're just taking a nap, for example, and you're in that very relaxed state, these are all ways of opening your heart to the experience. And so when you open your heart in that way, whether you're going for a walk or whether you are doing a deep meditation or a sweat lodge, you can invite these messages in. You can invite Gaia in. You can invite your guides, angels, because this is a very close, how do you say, this is a frequency, a bandwidth that is very close to theirs. So it's easier for the transmission to occur. And they can be transmitting, but if we're not in the level that we can pick it up, then it'll go by unnoticed. So putting ourselves in these frequencies where we can also receive the messages is a big part of receiving them.
Beautiful.
And so continuing with the story, because there is a moment here that I wanna get to, but this was a very beautiful moment of my awakening with Gaia, because I had been through very profound awakening since 2013 with this divine being, and realizing that, oh my God, this is not just a planet. Oh my gosh, there's a consciousness here, like, oh, what? No way. And that was a big part of my awakening with her, understanding her to be this profound goddess archetype that was just not even fully understood yet by most people. I mean, I'd had no idea. And all of a sudden she is revealing herself to me as this divine goddess archetype that I was just so humbled and learning so much at a very fast pace after that. And coming here to this country, opening my heart with nature and so forth. But there was one moment, and this happened in 2017. And I had no idea. I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't prepared for it. And this was the moment that I shared with you, Scott, that I was actually sitting and watching the snow. It was the end of 2017. And so we were in winter. Such a beautiful, beautiful energy of snow. We don't have snow in Brazil. So I was looking out and just looking at the snow and feeling a lot of gratitude in my heart. And I remember particularly just feeling gratitude for my community and just letting that love expand and feeling each heart and feeling each person. You know, and I found that even today when I connect with Gaia, this is always the best way. So I want to just add this here before I continue, because for the people listening, the best way to connect with Gaia is by feeling love. Now, one of the easiest ways to get to love and to this frequency of love, because love can have many other frequencies, the frequency of love that is a really good doorway into all of this is gratitude. So when you get something that you just feel very grateful about, there's my Brazilian kicking in. And you know, it needs to be genuine. It's not like, okay, I want that, so first I got to be grateful. Okay, what is something I'm grateful for? You know what I mean? And so the aspect of like feeling grateful, it has to be organic. It has to be something that just like at the moment you're just so happy about.
It's also a practice to create gratitude. You know, the truth is we always can find things to be grateful for if we put our attention on that. And a lot of the clients that I work with, especially families, I really, notice that healthy families have gratitude every day. They make that part of their, every day at the dinner table or whatever it might be, or at the end of the night, really sharing, okay, this is what I'm grateful for today. So thank you. I think it's really beautiful because gratitude is a high vibration. You were talking about how we have to be at a higher vibration to hear the higher frequencies. Well, gratitude is a wonderful way to always lift our vibration. So I just wanted to
Thank you, Scott. Yes. And, gratitude is such a beautiful door to so much. And gratitude is just like that innocent, childlike acceptance. Thank you. And so there is no judgment, there is no pressure, there is no expectation. There's just reception, right? Is that how you say reception? Openness.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's something about the state of gratitude that also brings in humility. And I find humility to be such an important virtue as well. And not humility in the sense of underestimating yourself. No, 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 no. I mean humility as in, this is true love. It's where compassion comes from, is when you know that you are not the only one, that you don't have the best or the wherewithal, right? You're just a part of. And so experiencing gratitude is you're humbling yourself and you're receiving and you're understanding the beauty in everything. And so, yeah, gratitude is another beautiful big topic, but I was feeling very grateful at that moment for my community. And feeling grateful is always a beautiful starting point. And there was just a beautiful alchemy in place at that moment in time. I'm sure there was some astrological alignment as well, but the snow was just coming in such a beautiful way. And my heart just went from grateful to just open wide. And it was so, so big, because gratitude is just the first step. There's so many others, there is joy, there is ecstasy. There are so many other divine and sublime states of being where you can receive. And so in that day, I found myself immediately, I experienced such a huge heart vortex expansion, if you will, in my heart. It was so, when these energies come through and they are so real in my body, I experience them as magnetic fields. And if you can imagine even as I share this, you can allow yourself to feel what it would feel like. And to me, what it feels like in my body, I feel these as magnetic fields. And it feels like a magnet. Like, think of two magnets. What happens when you play around with two magnets? They interact with each other, right? There is a little bit of that force. You can even feel a little bit of that same energy when you go like this in your own hand. You can feel a little bit of that magnetic energy with the electrical too. And so I came to find later, with a few years of going through this, that the magnetic energy is also connected to the sound frequency and to the feminine expression. So it's a little bit different than the visual. Most people have a lot of the visual turned on in the sight, and they see things and the information comes in differently. But then in my body, the way it comes through, and this also comes through in everybody's bodies, it's just to different extents that we're aware of it. And we have different ways that we interact with these energies. But you can feel that as a part of your body, maybe an organ. For me, it was the heart. I felt this magnetic wave, like a torus field, if you will. But it's so strong that you become the experience. It encompasses a whole universe. And that's how powerful the actual feeling in the body is. It's pretty amazing. Wow. And so with this comes a series of what could be considered emotions, but so many tears and physical reactions and responses as well to this force that just like boom, bursts through. And it comes with so much love and love and love. But at that moment, as I describe this experience, the purpose of this interview is to talk about this experience. And so I will describe it, and I will use words and linear time to describe this. But remember that this all happened in one moment. I processed it for the entire afternoon. The rest of the afternoon, I was out. My body was out. I could not make sense of linear and physical things. I was crying. My body was shaking. I felt so much. And I was by myself for the rest of the day. But this all happened in one download, and it was just one moment that it all came through and it all happened. But essentially, I was in this vortex. I was taken, if you will, because there is no space, but I was taken into the core of Gaia. Now, I had never experienced Gaia in that way yet, up until that point. This was in 2017. Up until then, it was a very different relationship. She would come to me and, interact with my body and myself, and the downloads would happen as this would happen as well. But this time it was different. This time it was as if she created this vacuum, and I was like, just completely sucked into this vortex, like boom, deep inside of her. And in that space, there was such a deep, deep, deep silence and deep, deep, deep void that I could not even understand with my ears and with my senses. But what happened is that based on that initial gratitude moment that I was feeling and spreading that to my community and to the world, all of a sudden I started to experience Gaia. And experience, first of all, the area around me as it was today. And it had this tree and this, whatever it was, this rock. But it all started to morph and shift so fast around me. And before it was that tree, it was another tree. And before it was this house, it was another house. And before that house, it was another piece of land. And every single scenario, there were different people. There was a different environment. There was different emotions. There were different deaths. There were different rebirths. There were different joys. There were different sorrows. There were crimes. There was everything. There were joys. There were dances. There were stories. There were people coming back over and over again. And this started to expand so rapidly, where I was not only experiencing the place around me, but this started to rapidly encompass more and more and more and more, until it was not only all of Earth, but I was the Earth experiencing that evolution. And so I was not only witnessing it, but I was through the Earth experiencing so many millions and millions and millions of different species and life forms and stories and deaths and rebirths and intentions and agendas and destructions and beginnings and ends, and so much over and over and over and over again.
Wow. Wow. What an incredible experience.
Yeah. I mean, my body didn't know what to do with all that information. It was so powerful and so humbling, and so it shifted me forever. I definitely wasn't expecting it, but what happened at that moment is I realized at that moment the intensity of what Gaia has been through, and the magnitude of who Gaia is. And not only that, the pivotal moment, as if that wasn't enough. I'm like, I can't take anymore. Can there be a continuation another day? But the pivotal moment was when I realized where she was at today. And the reason why I was being shown all this, and the reason why I was experiencing this, is because I realized later, my experiences, they never come. I don't always have 100% clarity immediately. It takes me a while to process and understand more of the bigger picture. So through the years in developing in my relationship with her and understanding really all of it, I understood that at that moment, I was at a very fertile phase of my life, if you will, to understand Gaia in this way, to receive her and her energy in this way. She was already working with me very closely in the last few years. And so at that time, when I just had my heart open in that way, and just certain things were at the right place at the right time, and I was able to receive this experience. But I was meant to receive that experience for a couple of reasons. One, Gaia wanted to show me something.
Yeah.
She wanted to show me, and this is where I was so in awe, but she wanted to show me that because of that exact process that I had just witnessed, that was so humbling, because this far surpasses any civilization, any agenda, any state of evolution. I mean, this is all of it. All of it. And it was all leading up to this moment, because through the entire process that she went through, as a conscious being, she had reached an apex in her evolution. And this was so beautiful. This was shown to me and I experienced it. And it was a next level evolution that she was going through with unconditional love. And this stage of unconditional love, for being who she is, and not only allowing, but embodying all of it to happen on her. She allowed all of it. She continued to nurture regardless and give life, and she continues to. This is her evolution, is to be there unconditionally, and not only be there unconditionally, but what I later found out, even a couple of years later, because my evolution kept progressing with her, is she is all of it. And her understanding of this and her acceptance of it allowed her to reach a really powerful state of unconditional love as a conscious being that allowed this rebirth, if you will, into this new stage. Some people are calling it the ascension, and I also love this term, the ascension of Gaia. I experienced this before. I heard about this, but this really made sense to me when I heard about it, because I experienced Gaia as having a rebirth. And she has always been a very beautiful, evolved being, very conscious as well, but she was crossing a threshold. She had reached a threshold in her evolution that allowed her now to, so many things. But what she was communicating to me at that moment is that she had reached a stage in her evolution where now she was ready to start becoming aware of herself in a different way. And one of them is that she was going to start to embody herself through humans and experience herself as herself in human flesh. But with this awareness, not that she hasn't before, but it's with a certain level of awareness where not only her, but the human also, the physical vessel, is also fully aware of the embodiment in the process. And in this is going to be a new symbiotic relationship with our mother, where it's not just the nurturing mother that takes care of us, but she is living this experience through us. And we are allowing her to experience herself through us, with us, as us. And so it's a completely different relationship where we start to relate to our bodies in different ways, to the planet in even more different ways. It's a relationship where we're still very conscious, obviously, of the planet, but everything is alive as one in us. And so I'll let you share anything you want to share before I continue.
Well, let's go back to that wonderful word, ascension. You know, you and I were just at the Sedona Ascension Retreat. You spoke there. And we had, of course, some of the people from that retreat on the Awakening World a month ago. And so there, you know, whether it's the Twin Ray or you, many of the people that I respect the most who have wisdom share that everything is ascending, that the entire planet is evolving. We as human beings are evolving, but our planet is evolving. So I love how you experienced that. And
you know, Scott, I will tell you, in my experience, the reason why everything is going through this process of ascension is really only because Gaia is going through her ascension. And so
Right.
it's just a natural byproduct of all of life that is on Gaia has the right to ascend as well, whatever that means
Got
to you.
chills. I just got chills when you said that.
That is my experience. And that's why surrendering to this fusion with her is the best way to go through this ascension process, because we are here for a reason. We are here on this planet for a reason.
Absolutely. I'm going to read a couple comments. Reverend Jeffrey writes, I am loving this sharing. It's awesome. More, please. Don't worry, Jeffrey. We're going to give more. we got Raquel for a little while longer. And then Ayada writes, Raquel, I absolutely feel that also, that Gaia is embodying us and we are embodying her.
Let me take that in for a moment. It's so beautiful.
I'll give you one more to take
Yes.
in. And there's actually a question here. There's a comment and a question. Dorina Joy writes, isn't it interesting, surprising, and mystical that the Schumann resonance, which is the frequency of the planet Earth, and used to be a constant of 7.83 hertz, has been dramatically fluctuating in the last few years, and especially the last few months, to go all the way up to 111 hertz in January this year, and being over 21 hertz today, 3 times over the usual level.
Yes.
What is your take on such scientific confirmation of the amazing Gaia transformation and ascension? That's a question for you, Raquel.
You know, I love it when these validations come out like that, you know, and when we hear these things. At the time, I had no idea. I don't go out of my way to research things. I'm not a person that naturally reads a lot of books or seeks a lot of information. I just allow the experiences to come. So in my experience, I started experiencing this as a core frequency within Gaia. Just a moment. Excuse me.
Sure, take your time. You know, while she's having a little cup of tea, we are going to have some sharing at the end. Our dear friends, Sylvia and Nitya, have some origamis that they created for the Global Peace Tribe retreat, and then they didn't make it to the retreat, so they're going to share a little bit. And we'll also, I think I'll also show there's been a couple of other beautiful visuals sent by Dorina. So look at this one, you know, talk about the earth is alive. What a beautiful, and of course, this is from Alex Gray, who's been on my Saturday Night Live show. He was on a couple of years ago, and I got to hang out with him personally in Hawaii. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful vision from Alex Gray sent to us by Dorina. So, you know, thank you, Dorina. I so appreciate it. And we are I'll pop Sylvia on in a moment. Origami lotuses, butterflies, dragons, unicorns, peace cranes. We're going to see those in a moment. But I think Raquel might be ready to resume.
Yes. And thank you so much. Sometimes I need to just start coughing a little bit. So
sure,
getting over my cold. And so, but I don't want to, lose focus on what I'm sharing here. This is very important to answer this question. And by the way, that was very synchronistic, Scott. I was just flipping through Alex Gray's, I have one of his books yesterday.
Wow.
And just feeling so deeply his transmissions, his understanding of all of this through his art is just impressive. So I love that you shared that. And thank you for holding space for me while I coughed. So in my experience, there was a core signature in Gaia that started to shift. And today I understand this as there is a new frequency that she is broadcasting in the solar system. Okay. I'm still understanding more and more of the extent of this and what this means. This is very beautiful. It's very profound. In my work with astrology, I experience this very significantly, but I have experienced Gaia emanating a new frequency throughout the solar system. And it's so beautiful. Now, this has been this was started with the sun, and there is a very strong relationship between the sun's frequencies and the earth, and I experienced this in my body starting when I was 15 years old. I would experience these transmissions and I had no idea what it was. So this is, in my experience, how I've experienced, is that the sun awakens something in Gaia, and Gaia in turn responded. This is literally how I experienced in my body. And so this interaction started. And so the sun awoke Gaia, Gaia responded. This interaction happened for some time, and then boom, it automatically, it helped her form the necessary structures and grids to emanate this new frequency. And so Gaia now is emanating a new frequency, and this new frequency is like a more upgraded expression of her. And this is I can share more about this in another episode, because the story of Gaia keeps going and it morphs into my journey. Scott, you're going to love this one, with the Black Moon Lilith.
Oh,
That's where a whole other door of Gaia opened up to me. So, there's a lot to be said about that. And so my understanding today of these frequencies and Gaia and the Black Moon Lilith, they are very unique. But I do see Gaia as a very beautiful gem in the solar system. She is, in my experience, she is the womb. She is the planet that was designed to give birth, to give life, to nourish life. And so all the planets can have different functions, but Gaia was designed to be a womb, a fertile place of creativity and life. And so she is very unique, very beautiful. And there's a lot about her and her story. And I can share a lot more in another at another time, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. And she has been, in my experience, exchanging certain communication with the sun, and this has been catapulting her into this new frequency.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, last question for you, and then we'll take a look at your website and learn a little bit more about it.
Yes, and I need to wrap up the story too, because I didn't finish yet.
Yes, okay. So wrap up the story, and then my final question is going to be, so you can either do it after the story, but tips for people to have their own experience of connecting to Gaia. Any tips you can provide?
Yeah, so I gave plenty in the beginning. I gave several in the beginning, and also in the middle, when a very good one is to relax, release control, even in my darkest moments, which were my initiations with the Black Moon Lilith. It's always the same. The door to these greater forces and to the wisdom and intelligence of these dimensions lies in surrender. And that's why gratitude is such a great starting place. But you can keep going, just really surrender when you let go. And it could be when you're having a relaxing stroll, an evening stroll, or it could be when you're sick in bed, or it could be when you're laying down to go to sleep, or in a meditation. When you let go, and if you can let go of body, mind, and emotions together, that's it. Alchemy happens right there.
It's interesting as you're saying that. My most profound experience of really knowing that Gaia was real and feeling her was at the hardest time in my life, actually. And it was a time in my life when I was very isolated and very alone. And I started communing with her every morning at sunrise. And as the sun rose, connecting to the sun, but really feeling Gaia. And so I also, two things that are similar. One, it happened when I was at the hardest time in my life and I was in a deep surrender. And also it did happen in the relationship between the earth and the sun. And as I was feeling the sunrise and connecting to the sun is when I was really feeling most connected to Mother Earth, Gaia. So
Wow.
a couple of similar things though that you triggered in my memory.
Yes.
But I want you to complete the story.
Maybe others in here also have experienced similar things, you
Yeah,
know?
people pop into the chat box. I know it's kind of a quiet night, but thank you to Joanna and Jeffrey and Ayada who have been chatting, and Laura. So yeah, love to read some comments. And maybe explain briefly to people again about the Black Moon Lilith, since you did bring that up. And I never had heard of it.
The Black Moon Lilith is an archetype in astrology, and she's considered very, very much the shadow, very much the shadow. And she is an emotional aspect of our experience. And it's a feminine archetype as well. So that's what I'm going to share today. And she is an astrological archetype, but most astrologers don't work with her. They don't use her, or if they do, it's very vague. It's just like shadow work, but that's kind of it. And you know, I never really thought about opening that door until the Black Moon Lilith literally opened the door and showed her way in my life. She was like, no, I'm coming in now. And she's like, my turn, whether you like it or not. And that's how she comes. Black Moon Lilith, she comes to make a statement. And the Black Moon Lilith came into my life in 2019. So that was 2 years after my heart opening with Gaia. And at that time, I was already understanding Gaia in a different way. So yeah, it was a very different door that I went through to understand even deeper layers of Gaia. This is where Gaia will always keep revealing more and more. It's never just boom at one shot. You know, maybe one time you'll be sitting by a rock and listening to a stream, and you know, and you have that experience with Gaia. But then another time you're going to have a completely different experience. So it can keep evolving and growing. The more you listen, the more you open up to her. So the Black Moon Lilith came in a very powerful way in 2019 to really help me understand who she is and how she is a very integral part of our experiences. So, and she is a very direct link with Gaia. She is a direct aspect of Gaia, between Gaia and the moon. And so I didn't learn this in books. I had to go through the experience myself. And until today, I'm learning about the Black Moon Lilith. And, you know, we'll be talking and teaching about her as well very shortly. I have so many people that when I speak about the Black Moon Lilith, they want to learn more. That's the topic that most raises eyebrows. So when I say Black Moon Lilith, I have so many people that want to learn, want to know more. So I am going to be opening up you know, a door here for people to mentor and learn more with me on these energies too, because it's very deep. It's much more than just a story. But I'll be happy to share more in another show about her. Okay.
Absolutely. Well, you know, this is a good time to go to your website. I'm going to show a couple of things. And of course, I've put this into the chat box for those of you in the Zoom room. For those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube, it's her name, raquelspring.com, raquelspring.com. Are you still doing sessions, private sessions?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so this is how you book your session. And I have had so many people that at the retreat, Charlotte was talking about and she's on right now. Charlotte's with us. And she talked about the amazing session that she had with you, life-changing. So thank you very much for the wonderful personal work that you do with people. And then you've got, and I know that you moved it to tomorrow, actually. You always do a full moon gathering online. And so this is the link to that. And it's with raquelspring.partra.com is where you can find out the information about it. 23 hours away. So it's going to be, I guess, at 6:30. Well, what time is it?
Yes, it's at 5 p.m. Pacific time.
5 p.m. Pacific time. Got it. 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, and if you want to scroll up, just all the way up, Yes, that's the poster for our Libra full moon gathering. We have these full moons once a month, by the way. Every single month on the day of the full moon, actually on the evenings, we celebrate together as a community. So you can register for that in my website as well. If you go on my website and just sign up for the newsletter, you'll be notified of when the next one is, and you'll be given the login information to join us as well.
Right.
So these full moon gatherings is to share about these energies and the astrology and everything that's happening that month.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you provide, Raquel, and thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. I so appreciate it, especially.
Yes, and I have more of the story to share. I'm not done with the story.
Okay, great. Okay, I apologize.
I didn't know if you're already bringing it to a close, but
No. I wasn't sure. So
yes,
yeah,
I have not finished my story, and I have I was still under the light of the beautiful question of how we can open our hearts and connect with Gaia, and really making reference to how to connect with these energies. As I conclude the story, you're going to receive more information on how you can connect with these energies yourself in your own way. And then I'll conclude the story and we can wrap up the show here. How does that sound, Scott?
Beautiful. I'm so grateful for all that you share. Thank you.
Yes. And this is an extensive topic. We can talk about Gaia and my experiences with her for a long time. After this one experience, I have had many others. So it's a journey that keeps going. But this was an apex because my life changed forever after this. And after I experienced such a profound overload of information on Gaia's journey of love and of unconditional love and of her awakening through that love. And when I experienced that in my body, there was not one part of my body and my cells that was not immersed with that love. And it was such a deep, deep, deep love because I wasn't witnessing the love. I was the love. And to understand the extent of everything that Gaia has not only been through, but been, period. It's all been her. And allowing that to occur and understanding that as her and accepting and loving and evolving as a being, because evolution is not just love and peace. It's also wisdom and power and sovereignty and strength. And her evolution with all of these virtues. And there was just so much information, so much. And when I felt that catalyzed through an unconditional love, such as I have never known in my life, at that moment, I realized that even though I grew up in a cult that was very religious, and I grew up learning about Jesus and the Bible and Christ, and then of course the avatars afterwards and all the other masters and all the other beautiful teachers that walked on this planet, and all the times that they spoke of love and God's love. And at that moment, I will tell you, Scott, that every other idea of love paled in comparison. And at that moment, I experienced the deepest love that I have ever known. Okay, and this is not just a man that was taking the sins of the world. This was a planet that was becoming everything that it had birthed, everything that it had held space for. This was all in a constant process of transmuting and transforming in this evolutionary process that now allowed her to give birth to something brand new. And at that moment, my experience of unconditional love just took a quantum leap. I will tell you, because I had my path with Yeshua. I had my path with a lot of sacred masters, but I will tell you that all of them paled in comparison at that moment. And When I experienced the being that Gaia is, I understood in my physical body what love is. And that was the most powerful, physical, visceral, and tangible experience of love, because it was in flesh and bones. It was connected to this planet that we call Gaia. I was on her. It was a full, complete experience. It wasn't just spiritual. It was physical, emotional, mental, everything at once. And so at that moment, when I experienced that type of love, my life was changed forever. I was like, I thought I knew what love was. I thought I knew what unconditional love was. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. To be every rock, to be every animal, to be every person, to be every alien, to be every life form on this planet, every blade of grass. And not just on the surface, but on the different layers of her body. I mean, it went on and on. And so it was a really beautiful, heart-opening and merging experience that I had with her. And this is where I understood that she expressed to me that she was giving birth at that moment through me. And I said, what does that mean? I have no idea. And I'm still figuring it out. Every day, it's a brand new discovery with her and what this means, and allowing this embodiment to occur. And she said that she was going to be experiencing this more and more with more humans. And this doesn't mean that we are losing our identity and we're no longer connected to this star system. No, to the opposite, we're all one anyway, but it's just a more conscious experience of everything. It's like you're more alert, you're more aware of everything as it's happening. And so that was a very beautiful turning point of my journey, where I allowed this merging to occur with Gaia, and humbly walking this path with reverence for life and humans and people, because now it's not just we're all one. No, now I've come from the core of Gaia, and I am now experiencing life as her and as me, so to speak, in some ways. And I'm witnessing Gaia in front of me, alive in so many ways and shapes and forms. And the evolution continues, and the awakening continues, and the ascension continues. And I'm in awe. It's so beautiful. So it really was a very blessed state. I was in bliss for a couple of years after that, until Black Moon Lilith came in. It was a different bliss that was ready for evolution. But this merging with Gaia is something that is more and more available to all of us. And this is what I want to summarize and just kind of bring us all into now, because I am in no way am I here to say that I have attained it. There is not even an it to attain. It is an organic evolutionary process that we're all experiencing to different extents. I've been paving the way in many ways, but this is already happening with many on the planet, and more others are going to start to develop this relationship where you can continue being you, whatever that means, and allow this experience to simultaneously occur through you. Gaia has reached an evolutionary state where she is ready to merge in consciousness in this way with humans. And we are also at an evolutionary state through our learning how to open our hearts to allow this experience to happen. And so this becomes a lot more than just saving the planet or Mother Planet. This literally becomes about Gaia. How do you want to experience yourself today through me? How do you want to experience this tea? And allow Gaia to experience herself as it's going for that walk, as it's talking to that friend, as it's baking that cake, as it's smelling that flower, and all the things that you do in your day, even when you're getting ready. You know, I as a woman, sometimes I look at myself in the mirror, and instead of looking at myself as just Raquel Spring, I allow Gaia to see herself through me. And I allow that beautiful experience to occur, that relationship where everything just becomes more tangible, more intimate, more embodied.
What a inspirational show. I'm going to read a few comments that have come in. Dia Therese writes, Raquel and Scott, you are gifting me by throwing out to me the lifeboat connection of a sacred triangle of Gaia, Sun, and myself, Dia. This is helpful beyond expression as a journey about my life with a burning, swelling, moving, deep head pain of the last 12 hours. Thank you. Tears are welling up.
Wow.
Joy writes, thank you, Raquel and Scott, and everyone tonight for such wonderful sharings as we all enjoy the invisible magnetic power of Gaia and the visible pink full moon dance in the skies and within. And then she's provided a beautiful compilation of quotes, images, and art about Goddess Gaia. And I'm just going to open that up for a moment for those of you watching on Facebook. And that's why you always want to join, because in the Zoom room is where we have all the links. But look at these beautiful Gaia quotes and images. Oh my gosh.
Wow. These are all the different feminine archetypes that are represented there. Wow.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
Wow.
How perfect that as we enter spring, we have Raquel Spring.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And the comment that you were reading before, the beautiful feedback from the sun and someone here from the community that has also been experiencing things with the sun and with Gaia as well. I wanted to share that the sun has been awakening not only Gaia, but a lot of human beings on the planet at this time. And so tune in to your experiences, because you may have a lot of beautiful experiences as well in relationship to the sun and Gaia that you've been having. Just wanted to validate that.
Linda McCabe writes, your sharing of this embodied experience with Gaia is life-changing. Beautiful questions and responses. Thank you both. So thank you, Linda. And as Jeffrey always reminds us, Lovolution is the solution. I'm going to put the spotlight on Sherry there. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for always reminding. And I'm going to point out a couple of people while Raquel kind of catches herself. There he is. Mark Danisovsky was such a hero at our retreat. He, of course, played accordion. He played the most beautiful piano. It was so wonderful for me to work during the day while he was playing. Yes, I worked much of the retreat. And he also provided an incredible sound system. So thank you so much, Mark, for doing that. I'm going to bring your partner in, Mr. Omashar.
Yeah, Mark, you rock. I mean, you blessed us all with just superior everything, and your presence alone was enough. And you topped it off with the crowning glory of your musicianship. I didn't know you could even play the piano, and you are fantastic, a classical pianist. Holy smoke. I'm inspired, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Thank you both.
Thank you, man.
We will come back to Raquel in a moment, but I want to, I'm going to bring up Sylvia and Nitya because they have some beautiful, if you guys turn your camera on, where are you? Usually you're right there. Where are you? So, oh, maybe they're gone. Huh. Usually Sylvia and Nitya are right here. She created some beautiful origami, which she was going to send. So I'm screen sharing it now. Beautiful, beautiful little dragons and butterflies. Look at all those beautiful origamis that she creates. Incredible. And also those necklaces. So thank you so much.
Yeah, she actually sent them in a big package and they went to the wrong address.
Oh no! Is that what happened?
So I know she spent so long creating a bracelet for each of us, and all of those origamis.
All right, Raquel is back. I'm going to read 3 more comments that have come in, and then we'll say goodbye to Raquel, and we'll have a closing song with Omashar. Deborah Craig writes, "Thank you for this evolutionary and beautiful sharing. I was in a state of gratitude, connectedness, and joy for my food, and I was gifted by Gaia of a gentle waterfall going up from the ground up into me energetically. It was blissful love, so alive. Another time I danced and was lifted up so high in the love frequency that the water came up through me. I was a living, dancing fountain. Much love and gratitude to all." Thank you, Deborah, for sharing that. What a wonderful experience. I think I'm going to bring Raquel on too while I read these. There she is. Laura Chamberlain writes, "Thank you so much, Raquel and Scott, for a great program. Happy spring and Libra full moon to all." Dia writes, "Thank you, Raquel. I could sure be grateful for less pain." Connie, who was with us, of course, Connie and Andrew were at our retreat, and they did wonderful presentations, wrote, "It's wonderful to have it confirmed that Earth is in a higher frequency now. I believe our prior behaviors and systems were due to all races responding to the frequency of fear, separation, and scarcity. It's been our job to transmute those energies, and we've done a great job. No shame, no blame for past behaviors. Now the Earth frequency is calling us forth to open our hearts and create new systems." Beautiful. Thank you, Connie.
So beautiful.
Thank you, Raquel, so much. I love when you're on the show. Just really love your wisdom and your eloquence and how and the amazing life you've led. I can't wait to see what happens over the next 40 years. Yeah.
I'm like, why did you choose me? It's so much, but it's evolution. We're all going through it, and we're all support. Sorry. I've been just coughing a lot recently, but we're all going through this evolution together. And so me coming here and sharing my story is also supporting your evolution, the same way that you're going through your evolution with Gaia. This is happening collectively. We're all going through this evolution together. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Raquel. We're going to go to gallery view for a moment. Turn on your cameras and twinkle our wonderful friend Raquel. I know most of you have your cameras off, but lots of twinkles there. We so appreciate you. And I'm going to turn it over to beloved brother Omashar for a closing song.
Yes, thank you, Raquel. I have so much to say, so I'll say nothing. And just your presence inspires in me the deep stillness that I know that I need to shift into a frequency where I can listen to trees, listen to Mother Earth. And I had an experience a couple of months ago when I had the voice talking very clearly inside me. It was an audible voice. I downloaded something, let's say, and the voice gave me some direction in my life, and I didn't know where it came from because I didn't recognize it from my ears, and it was right in the center of my heart. It was an actual audible voice.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Beautiful.
Right there. So thank you, sweet, beautiful one. Okay, there's that. And there's this.
Let me shine a light inside, and I'll show you where your truth resides. I'll lift your eyes up to the skies, and I'll prove to you that nothing dies. Together we will rise again, and we'll make amends for what we've done. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I am here to lift you, restore you to glory, and love you and hold you and be your victory. My child, I will welcome you home. Welcome you home. You see, it's true that we are one, and we came out from the central sun. And let me take your hands in mine. As I look at you, your spirit shines. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I'm here to lift you, restore you to glory, and love you and hold you and be your victory. My child, I will welcome you home. Welcome you home. So when you take a different view, and you dream awake, breathe out the new. The world will come alive again, as we dance and sing and make new friends. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I am here to lift you, restore you to glory, and love you and hold you and be your victory. My child, I will welcome you home. Welcome you home. The world will come alive again, as we dance and sing and make new friends.
Sprinkle time for Omashar. Some love and appreciations. Thank you.
Twinkle time.
It's twinkle time for Omashar. Hey, Omashar, we've got 2 more shows this week. I just want to let people know about it. On Saturday night, we will be doing kind of the main speakers from the New Living Expo, including Carolyn Casey, Eben Alexander, John Gray, Lori Grace, Danny Sheehan, and I just added Carolyn Corey. Tatiana will be back playing music.
I know, really looking forward to hearing her again.
We love Tatiana, and we love Omashar. And Morea, she's now changed her name. You remember Krista Collins is now Morea Love.
Beautiful.
She'll be co-hosting with Kenny Kaufman. Kenny is the owner and the founder of the New Living Expo.
Wow.
So that's going to be on taking place on Saturday night. And on Sunday, it's Easter Sunday. And we've got Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. You can't have better guests on Easter Sunday.
And it's profound because the vortex that is created by all of the religions holding this weekend as profoundly sacred, no matter what you think about that, it just holds the vortex wide open for us all. And so it's going to be an amazing show.
It's going to be a great show, a great weekend. So look forward to having all of you with us. Dia writes, "Oh, Mashar, you are brilliantly a special combination of talents." That he is. All right, everybody. Thank you again. I'll bring Raquel on one last time. Thank you again, Raquel, for just such a beautiful show, that so much that you provide for us. We love you very much.
Oh, much love. It's been a joy to be here with you and everybody tonight. Thank you for listening and for opening your hearts to this experience tonight together.
Thank you for the inspiration, and let's all enjoy the full moon energy. And remember to experience the full moon gathering with Raquel tomorrow night. That's going to be really, really special. So I hope to see all of you there. Take care.